Thank you, Heather, so much for that incredible introduction to this next segment. Guys, bring it. It's got to be the best segment now, all right? We have to bring the heat. This is the perfect thing to do to a stutterer, just to put them under enormous pressure. It sort of really helps, right? Heather, that was so incredible for you to just illuminate everyone on that, because they are such extraordinary clinicians, these guys, and I adore what you do. And actually, I think the fact that you do stutter, I think you must be such a warm embrace to people coming in, struggling with what you have also been through and continue to go through. Because Heather's right, you know, once you are a stutterer, you will always be a stutterer. And people love to say that about my life. They're like, oh, acting was the thing that cured her stutter. I'm like, no, it's not quite. I mean, I know it sounds good in a soundbite, you know, but it's not true. I will always be one. I will always be one, and be one proudly. And we're just gonna now discuss how stuttering has affected all of us and the impact it's had on our lives. So, okay, I'll go to you, Mark. Mark, you're up.
Hello.
What was stuttering like for you growing up?
Yeah, well, I think certainly if I were to have a conversation with my 12-year-old self, I think the fact that he's sitting on a stage with Emily Blunt talking about his biggest insecurity in the entire world, I think he would have a few things to say about that, let alone speaking to a group of hundreds of people. Stuttering was the biggest challenge, and in many ways still is, of my life. You know, I remember feeling just such a sense of loneliness, you know, this feeling that, you know, I think many people in our world know the word stutter. They might even have some people who, you know, in their life who they know, but, you know, I never really met a lot of people outside of my immediate family who stuttered. And I remember, you know, coming home from school feeling like, man, why is it so hard for me to raise my hand, to do things that I watch my friends do so effortlessly? You know, and I think that fear, that shame, you know, I think a lot of the time in speech therapy, really what was focused on was how can we, you know, make you unbroken. You know, that was the unspoken message. And I think it wasn't until I, you know, found AIS as a young adult, as a client, that I was finally able to reshape that message and step into my voice and who I knew I was.
It's so true, that loneliness. I think that loneliness is something that a lot of stutterers feel, and I think we've all talked a lot about the misinformation out there, and I think we all think we're in a room full of that everyone stutters here, but just for me to clear it up for you guys as well, what I mean by the misinformation is that I think, as Mark was saying, you know, you don't understand why you can't speak as effortlessly as others. There's not enough out there for you to understand what you're experiencing. And you start to think, is it me? And there's shame about it. Am I nervous? Am I anxious? Am I weird? And what you don't know is that it's neurological, it's biological, it's often hereditary. It is not your fault. It is out of your control. And it runs so prominently in my family. You know, my grandfather, uncle, cousin, all stutter. So I was wondering if you guys were the same. Does it run in your family?
It actually runs in my family too, Emily. My dad stutters, and some people that he was related to also stutter. And I actually have grown to feel so proud to be a person who stutters. I'm thinking of my dad right now, and like how much just this message that maybe it's okay to stutter and to let it out and be proud that it's a part of you and a part of your identity. And I think I've helped bring that to my dad a little bit too. So yeah, but I don't know, what was it like for you, Emily? Did you talk about it with your family growing up?
Yeah, I mean, we did talk about it, and I think it can be quite it was at times anguished for my parents. even though I think my dad was aware that his dad stuttered, but it was that very British military background, like you do not talk about it, you do not ask people about their potential differences, weaknesses, whatever you want to call them. I was aware that my uncle had a lack of fluency when he spoke. My cousin's was pretty severe. And yeah, I think my parents tried a lot of different things. My mum sent me to like have cranial osteopathy. I mean, she tried everything. I would listen to like dolphins at night, you know. But I think she thought it was because I wasn't relaxed. And I was like, no, I am. I feel very calm. I don't know why. Like, I'm fine. Like, I'm not stressed about anything. And then I played the cello as a kid. And my mum thought... Poor mum, I'm glad she's not here. I'm literally laughing at her. She thought that because I was doing this all day, that it was affecting my rib cage, and that was why I stuttered. I mean, it was just, she was grasping at whatever she could, you know, because you kind of white knuckle it, because you don't know what it is, and you don't know how to help your child. And so, yes, I think it was, people were very aware of it, but as everyone's been talking about, it's not that you stutter all the time. I would go through phases of complete fluency, and then I'd have 3 months where I felt I couldn't speak at all. And nothing would appear to trigger it. It would ebb and flow and miraculously come and go, and I couldn't explain why. And I don't know if it was the same for you guys. Was it the same ever for you guys? And is it the same for a lot of these children and adults that you're working with?
Yeah, I like to say that the signature of stuttering is variability. It really comes and goes, and learning to ride the waves is what has helped me, and I believe helps all of us who stutter, and being okay with that, which is the challenge. Yeah,
I agree. So what made you, Haya, what made you want to become a speech pathologist?
Gosh, it's been a long journey becoming a speech language pathologist, and it starts in second grade, where I was at my first therapist and remembering just reading out loud and having sentences broken up into pauses and feeling very fluent and successful in therapy, but then going home and then in real life not being able to speak. Fast forward to 12th grade, I'm still in therapy, going to another specialist and holding a timer and saying my vowels out loud, E, ah, ooh, and I remember just thinking like, there's gotta be something better, something more. And that sparked the thought that perhaps I'll go into the field of speech therapy, but I remember thinking, how could I? I stutter. That seemed like an oxymoron, an impossibility. And thankfully, I believe that all things are possible. And so I started to walk toward the thing I feared the most, and that's what led me to where I am today.
Oh, I love that. It's incredible. Mark, would you say that there are challenges to being a speech therapist who stutters?
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of the challenges certainly come from an internal place of feeling like, you know, when you walk into a room and you're meeting someone for the first time and you're stuttering yourself, there's that immediate kind of gremlin thought of, well, if I can't even speak, how can they trust me, you know? And that was something that I think it took me some time to start to work through, and it wasn't until I really started to, you know, go into my clinical placements and start to really work with therapists very closely that I was actually very lucky. You know, I had a lot of great mentors who really supported me and supported my growth and really believed in this special ability that someone who stutters can bring to the therapy relationship.
It is such a special quality you can bring, because I think when you struggle with something like a stutter, if you feel you have to be persuasive to somebody who doesn't understand your situation at all, in any way, shape, or form, that's when I still struggle if I'm having to pitch something, or I'm having to be persuasive, or under pressure, or if someone goes, well, what happened? Tell me. It's those environments that are just a nightmare for me still. And I think for these kids coming in, even though you're thinking, oh, I won't be persuasive as a source of cure, or whatever you want to call it for them, they must go, oh my God, he gets me. And that must be so, that's what I wish I'd had when I was a kid. I wish I'd had one of you. So how would you say that speech therapy has changed since you were a kid?
I think the biggest way it's changed, to echo what Mark said, is this message that I'm broken and need to be fixed, to I am who I am and I can be an empowered, effective communicator and stutter.
Yeah.
That's the biggest change that stands out to me.
Yeah, I love that. Look, he's telling you, come on, hurry up. Okay, one more thing. Okay, this is for Crystal. What are some of the most important pieces of advice you can give to parents of children who stutter? This is a big one, and I do want to know this answer.
Emily. Thanks for asking. Personally, when I work with kids who stutter, I think one of the greatest joys is also talking to the parents. It's such a big part of the whole thing. It's the whole family working together. And for parents, it's a journey for them as well to take in this message that, hey, maybe my child will be okay if they could continue to stutter. And there's a whole community of people who stutter, and that's just the way that some people talk. And they don't have to try to fix it. Because the child can just, learn to stutter in a way that feels comfortable to them and that they can be proud of how they talk. So it's just a journey for everyone. Just so the parents know that, your kid's going to be okay, and lots of people talk like them and are still successful and happy in life. And yeah.
Community, it's what tonight's all about. Thank you so much. This was awesome. Were you guys nervous? Yeah. Thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause.